All right, everybody. It's Nate Holloway, Father's Authority. You know what to do. Before we get started, I just need everybody, if you're on your phone, if you're on your computer, just go to the live broadcast that you see and hit share. We want to impact as many everyone as we can. So you guys just help me by sharing. I'm going to do it right now on my page, and need you guys to do it well. Just put on there when you share. We are live. We got a great show interview for you tonight.
I figure out how to do this myself.
All right, guys, we got about 1 minute before we get started.
I'm trying to show it.
All right, guys, it is 7 o'clock, and you know what time it is. It's time for Father's Authority. It's Nate Holloway here, and I got my good friend Chris House tonight. We're going to be talking all things fatherhood. Chris is a musician, worship leader at his church. He is a teacher. He teaches music. Well, he doesn't teach school anymore, but he teaches music. He's a father of two girls, right?
2 girls.
He's father of 2 girls. And it's hard for me to say this, but he went to
Say it. The Lord's going to bless you if you say it. The Hampton University.
See, guys, I went to Norfolk State, and when you're part of the $1 Million Funk Squad, the greatest drum section, all of black college bands, it's hard for you to say that word.
I should have put on my Hampton hat.
I can't get it out, but I'll let him say it. He went to that school. But we got Chris on tonight, guys. We're going to talk all things fatherhood. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I just appreciate you asking me to be a part of this, man. Thanks for all that you're doing to represent the fathers out here. I'm just glad to be a part of it, man. Seriously.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to have you, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and about your life with or without your father.
Cool, man. Yeah. Born and raised in Hampton, Virginia. Well, what we consider Phoebus. I don't really claim Hampton. I claim Phoebus. So born and raised in Phoebus, son of a pastor. My mom and dad, both pastors. So I've been in PK my whole life. Grew up in church. Played every sport imaginable. Also played multiple instruments. So always into music. Always into church and music and sports. Because of my parents, especially my dad, my mom being so integral. My mom was educated. She retired from being a principal probably maybe 10 years ago now. Yeah, I think about 10 years ago. So my mom was an educator. Dad was a pastor, bishop in Full Gospel. So it was great, man. Just growing up with both of my parents in the household really played a big part in my development as in who I am now. But especially my dad. My dad was born in 1932, so my dad was 49 when they had me. My mom was 30, and my dad was 49. So my dad was old. We was old compared to everybody else's dads that were born in 1980. But with that came with a lot of wisdom, but also a different in the generation, just how generations reacted and responded. My dad was, he wasn't the youngest of 13, but it was 13 of them. And he actually was the youngest boy, actually. So everybody catered to him, but he was the youngest of 13. And he came from, like I say, he was born in 1932. So, it's old school, bring it up. Yes, sir, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Right.
So all of that was instilled in me. And he was a preacher, and a pastor of a church. So you always had to be respectful, but just the difference in the generational, just the reaction of, responding to adults was a bit
Mhm.
different. My dad was when, he called you, you came the first time. You didn't wait for him to have to come get you and stuff. And it was, yes, sir. So that kind of stuff really played a part in who I am now. Even now, I say yes, sir, and no, sir, and yes, man, and no, man, people who are older than me, and I can't help it. Like, it's just
Right.
disrespect. So just having my dad in my life growing up was very essential. My dad, of course, him being a pastor, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but with my dad
Are
being
you
a
good?
pastor, it really, and my dad, not only was he a pastor, but my dad was the president of the NAACP. And he actually marched with Dr. King during the civil rights movement. So
Wow.
my dad was really heavy into activism. My dad, if he wasn't at church, he was downtown at the courthouse. He knew all of the lawyers, knew all of the major judges in the city, helped people get out of jail, all that stuff. So,
Okay.
so that played a big part in my life as well. Later on, especially now, what I'm doing, what my passion is now. But when I was younger, it kind of took my dad away, kind of, sort of, because he was either at church
Okay.
or he was at the courthouse. So I didn't really. I mean, my dad, of course, my parents lived together, but the interaction between me and my dad wasn't as consistent until I got probably maybe high school, college. Just because my
Okay.
dad, he was always, gone a lot and working a lot, and a lot of people
Mhm.
pulling at him for his expertise. And a lot of times I would go with him to those places, to the courthouse. I mean, I remember sitting in courthouses all day, watching and
Wow.
listening to cases and stuff when I was, 7 and 8 years old, just to know the criminal justice system and all that. And because of that,
Okay.
because of my dad and his influence, I've never been arrested, never been to jail. I got some speeding tickets, but that's about it. I've never, been in jail. I don't even know what it looks like to be inside one. I don't have a record, no felonies, no drugs. I've never smoked or drank a day of my life, just because and that's because of my reverence for my dad. I didn't want to embarrass my
Gotcha.
dad. I didn't want to get arrested and for them to say, "Oh, that's Arthur House's son." Like,
Gotcha.
I thought I
Yeah.
would probably kill my dad if that happened. So because of that, and because of his influence, man, it's made me who I am today.
That's good, man. That's good. So, um, you have two daughters.
Two
How
daughters,
is it? How is it with two girls, man?
man. It's really funny because I always said I'm never having. Okay, first of all, let me back up. I'm an only child, so it's just
Okay.
me. So I grew up in the house, just me. All my friends, I had, friends that were girls, but they were at school, but it was always boys. So I always said, I'm never having girls. Like, when I have girls, I'm having, I said, I'm having two boys and that's it. That's all we gonna have. I ain't got no girlfriend. I ain't married, nothing. But I'm like, two boys and that's it. No girls. I got no girls allowed. And I have two girls. Two girls. So to answer your question, every day it's a new thing. Because I didn't grow up in a house with girls. My mom was the only woman in the house. So
I
I
got
don't
you.
I didn't know what is I don't know the temperament of girls, and I just didn't, especially small girls, just the attention and they need this.
Uh-huh.
You got to talk to them this way. You got to understand, but it's a daily learning experience with no book to tell you what to do.
I
I'll
got
put it, I'll put it that
that.
way.
I feel, and I know it's even more deeper with girls,
Yeah.
man. So let me ask you, what does fatherhood mean to you?
To me, fatherhood, it means a lot of things, man. But I would definitely say identity and identity and authority. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
Identity, because just like we related spiritually, we gain our identity from our relationship with God, who is our Father. The Father gives you your identity. Your Father, in science, even would go to say that the Father's chromosome determines what the sex of the baby is going to be, and all of that. So you have a lot of your identity is greatly found in your Father. whether good or bad. And just the authority piece, the father, man, is especially the husband, is the head of the house. And are you back?
You good? You there?
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. So identity and authority, fathers, because we're the head of the household, the authority, there's a weight in there's a weight that comes with being a father, and not even so much what you say, but it's really a lot about what you do and how you model identity and authority, how you respect, your wife and the mother of your children,
Right.
and what they see. Because again, what they don't necessarily, our kids don't necessarily do what we say, but they do what we do. And
Right.
when we're doing the right things and they're seeing the right things, we may not say it the right way all the time, but they know by our actions what to do and what not to do. Like that's how it was with my father. My dad, again, the generational gap was really wide. So my dad we both had to learn how to communicate. My dad
Okay.
was come here and do it right now. But with me, it was like, hey man, you ain't got to talk to me like that. I'm gonna do it, but chill out. But that's his generation. His generation was, hey boy, get in here and do this, and you came, and it was. But with me, and I'm an 80s baby, you don't talk to me like that. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm coming, man. And so, just that alone, how you say it. I knew my dad loved me, but sometimes, the way you say it can, give it a different spin on it. But he showed me. That's the point I'm getting to. He showed
Okay.
me. He showed me that he loved me. He showed me that he loved my mom. He showed me that he loved God. He showed me how to be a trustworthy friend. He showed me how to be integral. So things like that. So that identity and authority, fatherhood is so important. Those two things are very important when you're talking about fatherhood.
Okay. So let me ask you, how did you guys bridge that generational gap with you and your dad?
Well,
You being a baby.
my mom was very influential in that because my mom was
Okay.
born in 1950, so she was kind of born halfway through
Got
me and my dad, so she could relate. And my mom was an educator. My mom got what 4 master's degrees from Hampton, the greatest school ever. She
Well,
also she went to Northwestern University. My mom was a counselor. She was a special ed teacher. Then she was a counselor. Then she was a principal. So she knew how to relate to people. She knew how to talk.
okay.
She knew how to get you to express your feelings in a way that everybody could understand it. So she was able to be kind of that mediator, that intercessor for us both. Like, okay, this is what your dad is trying to get you to see. And then she would be able to talk to him. Okay, Chris, this is how you got to deal with Chris. One, he's the only child. He's the only boy. This is what's going on. Yada, yada. So she was able to help kind of bring us
Got
to the
you.
table to have those peacemaking conversations when they were needed.
Were there a lot of those?
Oh yeah, there were a lot. They were always me and my dad were both. Again, the identity, what I got from my dad, we were both very strong-willed, and when we believed in something, we believed it. I don't care what you say. I believe that this is what it's supposed to be. So when you got two people that believe that they're right, it's like, okay, you got to learn how to learn to disagree but not be disagreeable. So it's like, hey,
Got you.
yeah, that's what this is. So yeah, we always had, and what's funny is, again, speaking of that identity, and my oldest girl Reagan, she's the same way. She's very, let me finish what I'm doing first, then I'm gonna give you my attention because I'm busy right now. This is what I'm doing. And so she's very strong-willed. When she get ready to do it, that's when she's gonna do it, and not a second before, not a second later. So it works, I guess.
It is like raising a strong-willed child can be challenging, and it keeps you on your toes
Oh
to
yeah,
learn. Because my son, he's strong-willed,
yeah,
and Caleb, you like, Caleb, come here. I don't want to.
right,
I don't
yeah,
want to. Caleb, you got to eat your dinner. I want snacks.
right.
Caleb, you can't have snacks. I don't want dinner. And he's going to keep going until you got to like sit him down. Like, look, like one night He just didn't want to eat. He
Yep.
wanted his snacks, and he wasn't breaking. So we had till he just fell asleep and
Yep.
slept till like 6 o'clock the next morning.
And woke
He
up
was
asking
like,
about these snacks.
right, I'm really hungry because he wanted his snack. And
Yeah.
he's very strong with it. It's challenging and it's a learning
Oh yeah.
process. So, what's the best part of being a father?
The best part of being a father is seeing uh when I'm early in. I mean, I'm only 3 years in.
I
It's
feel
just
you.
it's seeing somebody, here it is, seeing somebody appreciate you just because you're their dad. Like
That's good.
not because of how good you do what you do, but just the fact that you
Mhm.
do it. Like just
That's
the
good.
fact that that's my dad. Like when I come in the house, Reagan, she's my oldest three, she runs to me, Daddy. I don't have to have nothing in my hand. It doesn't matter if I just ran over somebody in the middle of the street. Like she doesn't know or care about none of that. All she knows is daddy is home. I love my daddy. Hey daddy, you're the greatest.
Great feeling.
Yeah, like just knowing that you produce someone that appreciates you just because of who you are, not because of what you give them. Because they know that you give them stuff, but they don't really understand that you're giving it to them. Their food, they just know it's food here. Clothes, they just know it's
Mm.
clothes. They don't know, oh, mommy and daddy had to pay their money and sacrifice not getting something so that I could have this. They just reap the benefits. And they just,
Right.
it's just, I think that's one of the greatest joys of being a father, and really encouraging, seeing how other fathers and other children, that are my girl's age, appreciate how I am as a father. Because again, I never thought I was going to have girls, so I never
Hmm.
thought, fatherhood would look like, daddy daughter for me. I always thought it would be daddy son. So
Got you.
just like little stuff, like she takes ballet. So me being able to take her to ballet in her tutu and having the other parents see the dad bringing the girl, and oh, how cute that is,
Mhm.
and how I value that, and I just don't put that on her mom. Okay, you take her. I don't do ballet thing. You know what I mean? Just
Right.
little stuff like that. Just the sheer appreciation of you're doing the best that you can to raise your daughter, the correct way, loving God, loving people. That's one of the greatest things about fatherhood, man.
Yeah, and it's like you say, I feel the same way because when I come home, my mother-in-law jokes me because when she's here and I come through the door, Caleb just drops everybody up.
Oh yeah.
Everybody can get it because Daddy's home. Because when I open the door, he hear that key, he run up
As
going,
soon as they hit that
Daddy.
door, yeah.
And as soon as he open the door, he has to give me a side hug. Then I come over and I put my bag down. I'm like, you know what time it is? He just run and jumps on me and
Yeah,
gives me
man.
a hug and tell me about his day. And like you said, with your daughter with the tutu, I got to go to his first basketball game. He was in like a tiny tot basketball
Oh
camp,
yeah,
man.
man.
The feeling of being able to be there
Right.
and watch it. He couldn't dribble the ball right.
Right.
It was
It don't
funny,
even
but
matter.
it doesn't even matter. Just the joy of watching
Yeah.
him play the game, and it's a good feeling. And I agree with you. That for me, that's the best part of being a father
Yeah.
as well. Is just seeing that love and appreciation
Yep.
that they have for us, man.
Nothing like
So
it in the world, man. That's how I can't. Again, being a father gave me a new perspective, a different perspective. I just can't understand in my wildest dreams how a man could cre- create a child and not want to be in that child's life. Like
yes,
it's just like I can't even understand. Before I had kids, I could kind of understand it because I was in at that time I was selfish. I didn't have no kids, so I could understand. But once you have a child, it's no way that you can. I just can't understand how a man could birth a child regardless of the relationship with the mother, knowing that you have a child that you know is yours, and
Right.
you just act like you don't, like it doesn't even bother you. Like I can't. You see, I'm having a hard time even trying to articulate. Like it doesn't
Right.
make sense to me. You can't, because once you experience what we've experienced, having a human being just love you just because you are you. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
they don't care how much you weigh, how tall you are, how raggedy your clothes look, how crazy your hair. It's like you my daddy, and I just want to be with my daddy. Like no way I can't understand how a man could not accept that and want to embrace that, because it's a joy that it's unexplainable. It doesn't compare to anything else.
Right. And it's like, and I think part of it is that if you're not there for the birth
Yeah,
and to hold that child when they're born, you don't have that sense of that feeling. Because when Caleb was born, and I went over to him and I said, "Hey, buddy," he looked at me and smiled. Man, they'll tell you I cried for 3 days,
Oh
dude.
man, I believe it.
3 days, and to understand. Like I tell everybody, I didn't have my father. I never met my father. My father raised with my godfather, who I raised me as 13, who I call my dad. But my biological father left when I was 2.
Wow.
And I found him on YouTube, on Facebook. He's a big time musician on the other side of the world. But I reached out to him on Facebook one day, and I was like, "Man, I don't want to know why you left anything. I just want to know you, have a conversation." He said, "Leave him alone."
Wow.
And that was like to try to understand how a man would do that to his child, like you said. And I say that all the time. I don't understand how you could not want to be your child's. I can't imagine Caleb not seeing me every day.
Yeah.
And the joy and expression on his face when I walk through the door. I can't imagine taking that from him.
Yeah, man.
So,
yeah, and it's another thing too that really helps me to honor being a father. My mom's dad died when she was 3. So her dad died when she was 3. So she basically didn't have her dad in her life. My grandmother remarried, of course, but it's nothing like your biological father. So she didn't.
Right.
We had a lot of uncles and stuff. So my mom didn't deal with the absent father kind of syndrome, but my wife didn't get to know her biological dad till she was, I think she did it in college, after she got out of college, one of the two.
Okay.
So my wife, she's done this. She's a big mom person. She does stuff for the moms, and she did she has a book out. It's a 30-day makeover, and when she found her dad, she went through this whole 30-day process of makeover of having to find her dad and, having that same conversation of, where were you and why didn't you, take care of me? I don't really care about my mom and you and my mom not being together, but, what's that? So even now, they're still trying to mend that relationship and trying to make that relationship work. And just knowing each other, to having conversations and trying to do that, especially now with us having, kids. He's got 2 granddaughters now, so trying to be a part of that process. That in itself, those 2 situations make me really focus on being a dad and honoring, because I have 2 women that are directly connected to me who didn't have their biological fathers for the majority of their life. And I know the wounds that caused, especially for my wife, that process of not having the father and having to fill that void with things that will never fill that void. And I never want my girls to do that. And that's the thing. When I found out we were having the first girl, Reagan, I was disappointed, because I'm an only child. I wanted a boy first, like just to make sure the family name is secure. I really did. I was disappointed. If I showed y'all the video of when we found out in the doctor's office, y'all would probably be really ashamed of me. I mean, I didn't go off, but I was visibly disappointed for a good 2 minutes.
Wow.
Like, because
you're honest about it, yeah.
And we both thought we were having boys. We were having a boy. I mean, like, My wife was like, yeah, we having a boy. Yeah. So we were set on it. So they said it was a girl. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, no, it's really a girl. There's no do-over in this. It's really a girl. But what made me get over it really quick, Nate, was I knew so many girls growing up that didn't have their father.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew and I saw the result of that.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I said, in that moment, I'll make sure my daughters never have to experience that. Like, I just started seeing a lot of my female friends who didn't have fathers in their lives and how that affected them. Some, they were able to, go on and be productive in life and have flourishing families, but there are others who are still struggling to this day because of that father wound and just not having and trying to fill it with stuff that won't ever satisfy it. And I said, okay, my aim in life is going to be to disprove this whole daughters without fathers, especially Black daughters without fathers. Like, I'm going to create a new norm. I'm going to create the new statistic. Like,
exactly
you're going to be a Black female growing up in America that has her father her entire life. And I'm going to show you I'm going to show you how you should be treated. So when you get a boyfriend, you'll never have to wonder, well, is this how I'm supposed to be treated? Is this how he's supposed to talk to me?
Exactly.
Is this how I'm supposed to be feeling? Is this how he's supposed to be feeling? No, you're going to know. I'm not going to, keep shackles on you and say you're not getting married till you're 35. But I'm going to show you, and I'm not going to make you spoiled either. Because I know some females, their dads really put it on so thick that no other guy will ever be able to compare and measure up.
Right.
So it's like, dude, like, I can't do that. I'm a kid. Like, I just like your daughter. I think she's cute. I can't, do that. I mean, but I want to be able to show her this is how a man treats a woman. This is what you should expect. This is what you shouldn't tolerate. And again, with, me and my wife being married, showing her and modeling that with her mom shows her the same way my dad did with my mom. I learned how to treat a woman because I saw how my dad treated my mom. Like, I saw how he did, how he cared for her, how he put her first, how he, took up for her, how he sacrificed, how he didn't stop her from achieving her career goals, how he didn't make her be a housewife and just stay barefoot and pregnant. Like, like he encouraged her dreams and pushed her to do what she did. Like, and that's what I do, because that's all I know. Again, because my dad he displayed that, and he showed that model so that I wouldn't have to guess. I don't have to play the guessing game with that.
That's good. That's good. And you said something about when you found after you found it wasn't a boy, and you were a little disappointed, but then you start thinking about all your friends, female friends that grew up without fathers, and the result of that, and that you were going to make sure that you started a new trend with black girls and their fathers, because that's the norm. It seems like it's the norm in the African American community, man.
Yep. Unfortunately,
where fathers are just people without fathers. Why when I take Caleb to school and say going to pick you up, I'll say mom's going to pick you up so we can all go home together and have dinner. So if anybody's listening, they'll know that okay, we're not separated. We're together. He has his parents. When they have a parent-teacher conference, we both
go together.
To show them, because my goal is, I said, I want to stop that. Everything that happened with my father and any males before that in my family ended. I'm raising a new generation of Holloway men, of children that's going to start. And by you doing that for your daughters, you're teaching them, like you said, how a man is supposed to treat them, what to look for in a man. And then you don't have to be like that dad you say that's so hard that they look that a man can never measure up, because what you're teaching them is going to show them what to look for. And then they're not going to, it's not really, they're going to make him measure up. They're going to be like,
exactly.
You you can't do nothing for me that my dad don't already do.
Right.
You know? So
Yep.
it's not going to be hard for them to find a good man because they're not going to accept anything from just anybody.
Yeah, man, that's good what you said about the school, because we do the same thing with Reagan. Reagan's in school now, and we do the same exact thing. Like, we make sure, like, when we got her into school, that we both were there to meet with the principals and the school teachers, and like, we were both there because we wanted people to see, hey, this is a black girl who both of her parents are married and they together and they in the house every day and they both care for each other.
Right.
You know, I take her to school and my wife normally picks her up, so they see us both during the day. You know, they know that, okay, Reagan's dad and Reagan's mom, they're together and they both, you know, are making sure that Reagan is straight. You know, whenever we are one of the first, we try to be one of the first parents to volunteer for the, you know, to do stuff in the class, you know, arts and crafts or the holiday parties. We know we want to make sure we sign up first to try to set that precedent. Like, hey, all right, come on, parents, get in here. You know, y'all got to carry your load. But especially for Reagan, to let her know that, oh, mommy and daddy do, like, they really care and they want to be here and they care about, you know, what I do here at school. And of course, you know, she doesn't understand the whole what we trying to do with setting a new norm, but I actually kind of don't want her to. I want her to grow up thinking, oh, this is normal. Everybody does this. You know,
Right.
You know, just because that's how it needs to be, man. We take joy in doing that, you know, for our daughters, for sure.
That's good, man. That's good. So, how important are a father's words to his child?
Very important. The words have power, and especially words coming from your father have power. Especially like I talked about when I mentioned earlier, the identity and authority. The weight of your father's words, just like I can only relate all of this back to the Bible, to God, Jesus. You know, when God looked at Jesus and he said, "This is my son, who I am well pleased." That right there, that settled everything. It don't matter who said whatever about Jesus. God looked at him and said, "Hey, this is my son, and I'm pleased with him." That's it. Your words shape. I mean, you get the blessing from the Father. You look at Jacob and Esau. You know, the same thing. You get the blessing from the Father. When Samuel anointed David, I mean, not Samuel, Jesse anointed David. You got that from, you know, the Father is the stamp of approval, and the words of a father approve, and they can also tear down as well.
Right.
If you have a father who always belittles you verbally and never affirms you, never compliments you, never, you know, pats you on the back, never is where a father is always negative, especially with their words, that shapes who you are. That eventually you believe what they say, and you start developing those same characteristics, and then you become an adult, and you have children, and you start repeating that cycle, and you don't know why. It's because of what your father said to you, what your father did not say, or how he said what he said to you. Even now, man, there are things that I say to Reagan, and it sounds like my dad. My dad passed away 10 years ago. So it's like stuff that just naturally I say, or naturally that I do. And I'm like, man, I'm looking like my daddy right now. That's because his words and his actions had so much power that it formed and shaped who I am. It gave me my identity. It gave me my identity. Like, that's who I am because of my dad. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
I mean, all of it. The strong-willedness, that's my dad. But also the caring nature and the humble, you know, attitude and the heart for activism. I got that from my dad. You know, like, I mean, you get both things, you know, from my dad. I'm my dad. I'm not gonna just go out and buy something. I'm gonna try to see if I can fix it first, and then after I mess it up, then I'm gonna go pay somebody. That's exactly what my daddy would do. He would tear stuff up and then get a professional to fix it. But I mean, I'm doing that now in my own house. So it's just, And those are because, I mean, just even sticking with the question, because the words of my father, they have power and they carry weight. Always have, always
Mhm.
will.
Yeah, and I was reading something one day. I had to speak at a Father's Day service at my father-in-law's church, and I studied and I saw something that said the words of a father go into the future of the child.
Yeah.
So it's like you're speaking, like you said, identity. You're speaking to the child, and this going with them into that future, because that's why, like you're doing now, you hear yourself, your father in you when you're
Right.
talking to your kids.
Yeah.
You hear your father when you do something or you're making a decision in life. Don't you go back and you hear things that your father told you
Exactly.
from back then? You hear your father say, "Well, this is how I would do it," or do like to repeat something your father said.
Yeah.
But and like you said something key that your words form your child's identity. And a lot of people, some fathers from back in the day, are so hard on their kids. They're so
Mm-hmm.
hard on them because they think that's how it's supposed to be
Right.
in order for them to be successful. But you can be hard, but caring
Right.
as well to change, because
Oh,
like you
you
said,
definitely
that
can.
produces the same thing in the child. But you've been talking identity. You said a lot of things about identity tonight. So my next question for you is, what advice would you give your children about their identity?
Mm. But I would give it, first of all, that is rooted in Jesus Christ. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just going to start there. It's rooted in God. I mean, the Bible in Jeremiah, he says, I knew you before you were even shaped in your mother's womb. And I knew who you were, and I had great plans for you even then. So that's where your identity comes from. That's where your destiny is going to come from. It's my job as the father to ask and be led by God and Holy Spirit on how He wants me to shape and mold you according to the identity and purpose that He has for your life. That's why a
That's
lot of
good.
times when you do baby dedications or christenings in church and they have the whole question and answer thing, one of the consistent ones is, do you commit to raising this child in the admonition of God and yada 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 yada? Meaning, are you going to seek God for guidance on how to raise this child? Because that's where their identity is going to come from. No matter what you want them to do, how you want them to do it, if that's not God's plan for their life, that's not what they're going to do. So that would be
Right.
the first thing, the main thing. Speaking to the identity, it's going to be rooted and found in Christ. And then, secondly, my children should always know that it's a part of our job as fathers to help tap into that and help them realize what that is, because we're being led and we've been seeking God on how to raise them, and we trust God's
Mm-hmm.
plan. And if I'm leading the house in the admonition of God, then you trust that what I'm saying is true and it's gonna benefit you in the way that it needs to. So basically,
Right.
it's all going to start from your identity in Christ, and then that's going to spill into other things. You know, um, not being a leader and not being a follower, not being just a follower, rather. Because I
Mm-hmm.
in order to be a good leader, you have to have some following in you. You can't just be a leader. You can't be the island on an island by yourself. You got to be
Right.
accountable. You got to have some accountability. You got to have some people better than you that can help shape you. Iron sharpens iron, so you got to be around some iron in order to get sharpened. Um, but all of that is going to be rooted in your identity in Christ, and everything else it spills out into that. Being your own person, being integral, not going along with the fad, with the popular thing, just because everybody's doing it. Peer pressure, being able to make your own decisions, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all going to come from who you are shaped to be, who you are formed to be. What is your destiny? What is your purpose in the earth? And that's going to shape how you express your identity.
That's good. That's good. So let me ask you, what advice, give a piece of advice to fathers out there, especially new dads. You know, we both are new dads. We both
Yeah.
have kids that are toddlers. So what advice, give a piece of advice to dads out there that may be watching tonight.
Advice on what?
Just whatever, a piece of advice, like maybe a word of wisdom your dad gave you, a word of wisdom you may have to give the fathers out there, especially new dads.
um First, make sure that you know who you are. Well, actually, I can't say first make sure, because if you're a father, you can't put that on hold and then go find yourself and then come back. So it's gonna be hard for me to say find out who you are. But if you don't know, make that one of your daily goals and routine is making sure you are secure in who you are, because your insecurities are going to rub off on your children just like your securities are going to rub off on them. So make sure that you have more securities than insecurities. Be solid in that. Also, know that what with dads, with fathers, I'll say this: don't be afraid to say that you don't know.
That's right.
Don't let that male masculine pride thing make you tear up somebody's life just because you don't want to admit that you don't know how to do. You don't know how to do it. You don't know how to say it. You don't know where to go to get the help that you need. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to say that you don't know how or that you don't know. Because what you'll find out is, because unfortunately, having fathers in the world that actually want to be productive and be good fathers is such a not popular. When people find out that you are a dad that wants to know, they give you so much wealth of information, because it's like, oh, I didn't know y'all still existed. So, this is just great. I'm gonna give you everything I know, and then you want to do as much work. But if you let that pride get in the way, and you like, no, I don't want nobody to know I don't know how to do this, you're gonna be up a creek, and you're gonna be frustrated, and you're gonna tamper with the destiny of your child. So that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid to ask questions and to say that you don't know. And the other thing too, with dads, don't feel like you have to be Superman. Dude, we just talked about, we walk in the door. No, they hear the key in the door and they know that it's daddy. And they drop everything and they run to you and won't let you go. You haven't done nothing. You could have been the most horrible person that day, but they don't know that.
They don't know it. They don't care.
Yeah. So don't try to be Superman. They don't want you to be. They just want you to be daddy. They just want you to be daddy.
Yep.
You don't have to be Superman to them. You don't have to be in the best shape. You don't have to have the best clothes all the time. Don't try to be Superman. Don't put that much pressure on yourself, because they don't care about that. They don't care.
Right.
They want you there.
Care.
One of the things my mom, being a counselor and being with school and stuff, she said, and I'm pretty sure you heard this, is not anything original, but she says, love spelt to a child is Time. They just want your time.
Good.
That love to a child, love is spelled Time. It's not clothes. It's not the latest Jordans. It's not taking them to get, giving them ice cream and cake every day. It's not these lavish trips. It's time. Just spend time with them. Just spend time. A child knowing that you care enough about them to give them of your time, something that you can never get back. Once you give of time, you don't get time back. Everything else you get back. Money, clothes, food, you can get that back. But time, once that's spent, it's spent.
It's gone.
And children, when they know that you value them enough to give of your time, that means the world to them. Either they ain't doing nothing. Yeah. Just to know that you sitting here. There are so many times when I'm dog tired and Reagan wants to sit in the middle of the floor and twirl around and play with blocks. And I do not want to, but I sit there and I do it with her, and 5-10 minutes in, we both having fun. And then she's like, okay, daddy. And then she goes, does what she want to do. So that sacrifice of that 10, 15 minutes, you know, gave her the time that she needed versus her begging me for an hour and 2 hours just to come play with her. You know, so
Yeah.
spending time with your children means the world to them, man. It means the world. You don't
Yeah.
gotta be Superman. Just give them some time. Time is what they want. Time is what they need, and you'll find
Yep, man.
develop the relationship because of the time that you spend with them.
Yep, Caleb does it, man. He'll be like, so I get on, Daddy, come play with me. Daddy, come play with me. And then what he'll do is he'll sit there. Sometimes he'll be on his iPad watching Team Umizoomi.
Yeah.
And looking at his iPad, and then I can be sitting there. As soon as I pull my laptop out and open it up, I want Daddy. I want Daddy. I want Daddy.
Right.
I'm like, you weren't paying
Right.
attention to me all this time, but as soon as I pull this out,
Right.
you just want me sitting here
Right.
with you. And I love what you said about love. It's spelled Time to them, but it's another point you said that I wanted to piggyback on. I'm trying to remember exactly um, what it was, but no, it'll come back to me,
Right.
and we'll do it another time. We'll do something else. But man, I appreciate you for coming on tonight, Chris. As I told everybody, guys, Chris has a CD out. Sing Jesus. It's an awesome
Man.
CD. Chris, tell them where they can find you, man, and find yourself, and where they can find your wife's book.
Oh yeah, sure. We're all on Instagram, Instagram, Facebook, of course. Instagram still Chris House. Everything's there. My wife, she's got so many handles on Instagram, but Shanika Vale House, she does transparent moments. Is a thing she does with moms. Does a lot of mom events. She's got some stuff coming up now. Even she's got children's book out. She wrote for Reagan's Big Dream. So she's got a children's book out. All of that you can get on Amazon. She's got Reagan's Big Dream, 30-Day Makeover, the Transformation book. I want to say I'm missing another one. I think that's it though. And then she's starting now this she was a personal assistant for my best friend Tasha Cobbs Leonard, which is her cousin.
Okay.
Actually, she was her personal assistant for years. So she's now starting to do training for other assistants, and it's going to be called assistants to the assistants. So a lot of times, people who assist people in capacities like that, they don't really know how to be an assistant, how to do that. So she's training people how to assist people, how to be present but not be in the way, how to be always watching and guarding, but not be so on top, being felt more than seen. So that she really has a heart for serving people, and that's the heart of a servant is to be felt more than seen. Because when you start being seen, I mean, you want some of the limelight. So, but anyway, all that stuff is on Amazon. We got some stuff coming up with Reagan and Ryan, starting something soon with that. So we got some things going, but all of that stuff on on Amazon. My CD is on iTunes and Amazon as well. Got some other stuff coming out musically here soon. What else I'm doing, man? Part of my activism piece, man. I'm a worship leader. Of course, I'm Black, but I lead in a multicultural church. And I have a lot of other friends who are Black worship leaders that lead in multicultural settings. So we started this group, I don't know what you want to call it, but called the Bridge Brothers. And actually, all of us are married now. Yeah, everybody's married. Most of us have kids, but we're all married now. So, we're doing that. It's just a heart for social justice, and to see racial justice and racial reconciliation, especially within the church, starting within the church, because I believe in order for our country and world to really deal with this thing of social injustice and even get to a thought of reconciliation, the church is going to have to spearhead it. And I'm talking about the big church, not the Black church, not just the white church, but the big church, this big C church is going to have to lead in that. So we are a bunch of Black guys who lead worship in multicultural settings, and in monocultural settings, but we have a heart to see people come together. So we have a social media page, and we do stuff. We do worship nights, really all over the country, that deal with that. So that's a part of my passion that I got from my dad. This whole civil rights and social justice and that whole thing. So merging the two, merging the music and the civil and the social things are my passion, and all that stuff is on Instagram, Facebook,
Okay.
all of that, man.
All right, man. Well, guys, you hear that? You know where to find them, man. I thank you for wearing that Hillman hat and not a Hampton hat tonight. Behold the green and gold. Oh,
It all started with Hillman.
I appreciate, man. My wife loves a different world, man.
Oh
She
man, I
loves
love it too. I love it.
I appreciate you coming on tonight, man. And
Thank you so much.
again, I'll be reaching out to you again. I'm gonna be doing more stuff on fatherhood, man. My goal is to start a conversation, change the narrative on fatherhood, man. So I thank you for helping me do that tonight, man. I'm gonna be reaching out to you for more down the road. Chris, I love you, bro.
Man, love you too, man. And then I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing, because it's needed. It's needed. We don't have too much of this going around. So much of our narratives are, well, this is just how it is, and we created this generation. We've played into the generational curses of fatherlessness, and I think the fatherlessness has played a part in a lot of the destruction of just our society in general, man. Just in general, in the church, without the church, everywhere. That fatherlessness is that's the root of a lot of our inconsistency, man. So just thank you for being led to do this, man, and keep going. It's going to grow and get better and better, and more lives are going to be changed because of it, man. So be encouraged, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me be a part, man. Thanks for letting me be a part.
Man. Thanks for being a part, bro.
Yeah,
all right, man. Yeah, have a good night, man.
All right, man. You too, man. Bless to your family as well.
Oh, same here. You do
All
same.
right, yes, sir. All right, see you.
All right. All right, guys. That was my friend Chris House. Great interview tonight. We had some great things we talked about. I love how he said love to a child is spelled Time. And my son showed me that all the time. But again, guys, I want you to check us out. Check out our website at www.kingdomrelationships.org. You can find us there. You can find everything that we're doing. You can see these videos. You want to see these videos again that we've done. If you have a question, you can email us there, or you can email us at kwrelationships@gmail.com. Ask us your questions. Anything you want to know, we're here for you guys. We're going to keep doing this next week. We got another interview. Look forward to seeing you guys. I love you. Appreciate you. Thank you for sharing. And let's change the narrative on fatherhood. Victorious.